Hey Danish tuber, and welcome to this class on numbers. Numra. Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to simply go through the numbers together, and I'm going to read them in threes, and I want you to repeat them. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. From the top again, your turn. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. One more time. 4, 5, 6. Exactly. Once from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. Let's go from the top, from number 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And T. T. Nice, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, T. Notice the word, no, actually I'll come back to that. Let's continue a little bit. And now I'm going to give you some at random, between 1 and 10. I want you to tell me how to say it in Danish, of course. Here we go. 4, 5, 9, 6, and it's pronounced exactly the same as the word sex in Danish, so that should be easy to remember. 1, 10, 9. I realize we already had 9, but we're doing it again. 3, 3, 2, last one, 7, 7. Notice you have this w sound, 7. Let's do the same thing from 11 through to 20. So we have 11, 12, 13. One more time from the top. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. One more time from 14. Okay, from the top. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Nice, let's keep going. 17, 18, 19. 17, 18, 19. One more time. Cool, and then we have 20, 20, or 2, 2. Often the V in Danish is not so strong, and you will hear it like a W. So words like lever is spelled lever, but you say lever. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Din tur, your turn. What you'll notice with all of these sort of teen numbers is the sound of 13, 14, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's like I'm swallowing the sound, right? When you read it, if you haven't read it already, it's spelled like 13, 14, 15. And it's not incorrect to say it, but it's sort of this sort of like swallowed sound. So it's good to get used to that. 13, 14, almost like my tongue hits the roof of my mouth when I say 13, and it stays there, and then I say the It sounds really weird when you break it down like that. But yeah, that's how it is. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. One thing to notice here is some of the differences between, for example, sex, which sounds like sex, remember? But you don't say sexten, you say sexten. So the pronunciation changes here from sex to si. If I write it in a Danish way, it will be sexten. That's not how you spell it. You spell it sexten. But you pronounce it sexten. Maybe if I wrote it in an English way, it would be si, like, oh, sexten. Cool. The other one would be the difference between order and etten. The vowel changes, so we have an O here, order, but then it's not orden, but etten with an A, etten. And 7 and 17 is also one we had the su, the w, su, but in certain you lose the V and the W sound. Su, certain. Su, certain. Cool. So let's try the same exercise. This time I'll give you some at random. Tell me how to say it. På dansk. Here we go. 14. Oops. 16. 19. 15. 15. 13. 11. 11. 18. Sorry, this one. 12. 12. You have a little thing, sometimes number 2 and number 12 get a little mixed, so the difference is number 2 is 2 and number 12 is 12. You can hear the L, the V is silent, but you hear the L. 2, 12, 2, 12. Important to get it right, as I always say, because you might go to a pizza joint and say, hey, can I get a number 12? When really you meant 2. Or usually it probably happens the other way around. You say 2 when you wanted to say 12. But anyway, that's a learning curve. We all experience it when we're learning languages. Do we have any left? Yeah. How about this one? 17. 17. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Last one. 20. 20. Nice. So that was all of it. So I'm gonna, well, that was all the numbers 1 to 20. We have a lot more to do. I'm gonna move this over here and I'm gonna make a new text box. And yeah, we could maybe take 20 to 100, just the tens to start with. So 20, not 20, but 20, sorry, 20, 30, 40. 20, 30, 40. One more time. 20, 30, 40. 50, 60, 70. 50, 60, 70. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Cool. Then we have 80, 90, 100. 80, 90, 100. So these are the ones that are notoriously a little bit annoying to remember. And there's, this crazy thing about why is it called tres, and blah, blah, blah. I won't go into that now, and it's not really important. You don't need to know it. But it's kind of fun to know why. But all you need to do is remember how to say them. So The only sort of little trick that I have come across personally during my classes is that if you can remember the first three, 20, 30, 40, 20, 30, 40, in the middle, you kind of have a little pattern. You have the sounds of 50, 50, 50. Take away the hell, and you're left with tres, 50, tres. Then you have 70. Again, take away the hell, and you're left with fierce. 50, fierce. The sounds are not exactly the same. I'm sure you can hear that, but they're close. So that's kind of like a little trick that you can use, and I'm going to write it here so you can see an example. Am I? Is it going to let me? Apparently not. Try again. Yes, here we go. Tres. Take away the hell, you get tres. Again, the spelling is an annoying thing, right? But you have one D that you don't pronounce, tres, and in tres, 60, you lose the D just to make things a little bit more simple. Then we have fias. Take away the hell, we're left with fierce. So again, the sounds are different, but they are similar. Fias, you say it's something like fias. So you can think of the word ass, and also the word fierce, you pronounce it a little bit like the English word fierce, but a bit shorter, tighter, fierce. And that happens a lot in Danish, where the sound is a little bit tighter, sharper, more, I don't know what the word is for it, but sharper, let's say. 50, fierce. Those four are the ones that usually annoy people when they're starting to learn. So then you just have left to remember 90, 100. Cool. So we've been through that. Of course, it's a case of practicing, remembering, and whatever. And I recommend trying to get counting into your everyday life. So, you know, it's kind of hard and a bit boring when you have to sit down, I've got to learn the numbers, but not to give you a tick or anything, but I always give the sort of the technique, if you like, of counting steps. So if you ever go up some steps, start by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you're confident up to 20, switch to 20, 30, 40, 50 until you can do it quickly. And the reason that this exercise is good is because when you are climbing up steps, you are pushing your brain, forcing your brain to try to act quickly. Because often what I see is that people they know the numbers, but they're quite slow at getting them out, right? And that's, again, it's normal. So this kind of exercise can force you, because it gets you going up the steps faster. Once you are confident with the 20, 30, 40, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, then you can start to do the numbers in between, which is much easier, because all you're doing then is adding the 1 and the 2 and the 3, which you've already learned. The special thing about Danish is, it's a little old-fashioned almost, I think of it, because what you're saying is 1 and 20, 2 and 20, 3 and 20, and so on. You're saying it all back to front. Can't use my TH and my Fs anymore, apparently. To give you an example, 2 og 20, 22, 2 and 20, that is 22, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and so on. So that's basically it. Oh, one more thing here is that you can write this as one word, 22, or as I do personally prefer to add the hyphens because you can see it a little better, whatever works for you. Let's practice this with, I'm going to delete these now. Let's practice these higher numbers first, just the 20s, and then after we will do some higher numbers together. So, for example, what is this? Hvad hedder det på dansk? Tredive. 90. 50. 20. 40. 60. 60. 50. I appreciate this is going a little bit fast, but we want to get through this. 80. Next. 70. Remember the S on the 70. What are we missing? We pretty much have them all. We just need who know. Again, I know it's going fast. Let's try it one more time together. Just from the top, we have 20, 30, 40. 50, 60, 70. 80, 90, 100. Nice. Okay. So let's do a little bit more. From that, it's pretty easy because it's like in English. So you have it's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and so on. So that's easy, right? 500, 600, 700. Then you get to 1000. It's 1000. And you can spell it with an E or without an E. Don't ask me why, but that's just the way it is. So if you see both, don't worry about it. You can do one of the 1000. In my mind, 1000 maybe looks a little better, but both, whatever. 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000. So now we can see how to construct these bigger numbers. For example, 3450 og 50. 3450. And if it was a number in the hundreds, 100, I mean in English you might say 150. It's 100 og 50. But we get to 150, but you don't need to say the O. 100 50. 100 og 50, you could say it, but you don't need to. So then as we go up, we would have, for example, well, I'll give you the number. Tell me how you think you say this one. $745. 745. $927. 927. One more. 639. 639. I appreciate you haven't seen any of these written yet, so it's a little bit hard to remember them. But if you download the work notes, the resources on the resources part and the course, you'll be able to see all of them written down, and then you'll be able to practice spelling them. I have written the words, or rather all the letters that you need, for example, to spell the words. You just need to reorder them. That'll be a bit of practice for you. Let's do one or two more little tasks, practices, if you like, with phone numbers. Now maybe you don't know, maybe you do, but in Denmark there's generally 8 numbers for your phone number. So if I write them like this, just randomly, and people always say them in pairs generally. So it's really good to get used to saying 56, 65 rather than just 5665. Although you could do it, of course. But this number I would read 56, 65, 56, 23. So I can't hear you. I want to ask for your number, but I cannot hear you. So I'm going to give you my number, and I want you to practice writing it. See if you can do it. So I'm going to write my number here on a bit of paper, and after I will tell you if you got it right. So, and you would of course ask, or rather say here, mitt telefonnummer and then the number, and I will ask you, hvad dit telefonnummer? Hvad dit telefonnummer? Hvad dit telefonnummer? Ja. Okay, så mit telefonnummer 26 53. 83. 91. I'm gonna repeat it, don't worry. 26. 53. 83. 91. Nice. I'm gonna write it here. So my number was, mit nummer eller var, eller was or is, I don't know. 26, 53, 83, 91. Sådan der. So you can see with this exercise, it's important to try to start speeding up your brain, pushing it out, because, for example, you call somewhere the doctor, they're not there, they say, hey, du har ringet til bla bla bla. Hvis det er en nødsituation, if it is an emergency situation, call 26 53 83 91. Right? So start to use that thing of climbing steps. Also, if you count money, if you ever have money, does anybody have real money anymore? They do here in Argentina. Also, if you train, if you exercise, start to count your reps in Danish. Any little way that you can start to count. Last thing, the ultimate thing is CPR-number. Hvad dit CPR-number? CPR number, of course, is your ID number in Denmark. If you move to Denmark, if you didn't know, if you're not there yet, then you get this number, and basically you almost can't do anything without this number. Your CPR number or your CPR number is usually your birthday followed by 4 random digits. So you have your birthday, which is 2, 4, 6 numbers, and then you have 10 numbers in total. Sorry. For example, mit CPR-nummer er 26 10 87 36 53. 26 10 87 36 63. I won't quiz you this time, but you can use this as a little exercise to practice your number. If you have a CPR number, of course, use it. See if you can say the numbers out loud, and if you don't, just make up some numbers. Just write some date of births, 27th of the 3rd, 99, and then add 2 random numbers. Do it without thinking, in your own language, and then after, see if you can say them in Danish. So 27 03. Here's a good example of where you have 0, you would say 0 03 03. 99 59 36. I think that was pretty much it. So download the notes, go through the exercises, write to me if you have any questions regarding the numbers, and I'll see you in the next video. Hej hej.